The Ancient City, Book 3, Chapter 7, The Religion of the City. 3. The Census. Among the most important ceremonies of the city religion, there was one known as the Purification. It took place at Athens every year. At Rome, it occurred once in 5 years. The rites which were then observed, and the very name which it bore, indicate that the object of this ceremony was to efface the faults committed by the citizens against the worship. Indeed, this religion, with its complicated forms, was a source of terror for the ancients. As faith and purity of intention went for very little, and the religion consisted entirely in the minute practice of innumerable rules, they were always in fear of having been guilty of some negligence, some omission, or some error, and were never sure of being free from the anger or malice of some god. An expiatory sacrifice was necessary, therefore, to reassure the heart of man. The magistrate whose duty it was to offer it, at Rome it was the censor, before the censor it was the consul, and before the consul the king, commenced by assuring himself by the aid of the auspices that the gods accepted the ceremony. He then convoked the people by means of a herald, who, for this purpose, made use of a certain sacramental formula. All the citizens on the appointed day collected outside the walls. There, all being silent, the magistrate walked 3 times around the assembly, driving before him 3 victims, a sheep, a hog, and a bull. These 3 animals together constituted, among the Greeks, as among the Romans, an expiatory sacrifice. Priests and victims followed the procession. When the 3rd circuit was completed, the magistrate pronounced a set form of prayer and immolated the victims. From this moment every stain was effaced, all negligence in the worship repaired, and the city was at peace with its gods. 2 things were necessary for an act of this nature, and of so great importance. One was that no stranger should be found among the citizens, as this would have destroyed the effect of the ceremony. The other was that all the citizens should be present, without which the city would have retained some stain. It was necessary, therefore, that this religious ceremony should be preceded by a numbering of the citizens. At Rome and at Athens, they were counted with scrupulous care. It is probable that the number was pronounced by the magistrate in the formula of prayer, as it was afterwards inserted into the account of the ceremony which the censor drew up. The loss of citizenship was the punishment of the man who failed to have his name enrolled. This severity is easily explained. The man who had not taken part in the religious act, who had not been purified, for whom the prayer had not been pronounced or the victim sacrificed, could no longer be a member of the city. In the sight of the gods, who had been present at the ceremony, he was no longer a citizen. We are enabled to judge of the importance of this ceremony by the exorbitant power of the magistrate who presided at it. The censor, before commencing the sacrifice, ranged the people in a certain order, the senators, the knights, and the tribes, each rank in its appropriate place. Absolute master on that day, he fixed the place of each man in the different categories. Then, all having been arranged according to his directions, he performed the sacred act. Now, a result of this was that from that day to the following lustration, every man preserved in the city the rank which the censor had assigned him in the ceremony. He was a senator if on that day he had been counted among the senators, a knight if he had figured among the knights. If a simple citizen, he formed a part of the tribe in the ranks of which he had been on that day. And if the magistrate had refused to admit him into the ceremony, he was no longer a citizen. Thus the place which one had occupied in the religious act, and where the gods had seen him, was the one he held in the city for 5 years. Such was the origin of the immense power of the censor. In this ceremony none but citizens took part, but their wives, their children, their slaves, their property, real and personal, were in a manner purified in the person of the head of the family. It was for this reason that, before the sacrifice, each citizen was required to give to the censor an account of the persons and property belonging to him. The lustration was accomplished in Augustus's time with the same exactitude and the same rites as in the most ancient times, The pontiffs still regarded it as a religious act, while statesmen saw in it an excellent measure of administration, at least.